Bro, people are saying, oh, Dark Show, EBO2 is going to be out for 6 months. We don't have OP10 yet. Brother, I'm farming content. I need clicks. What's up, guys? Dark Show TCG here, back with another video. And today I got for you some EB02 Green Purple Luffy gameplay. This deck honestly took me by surprise. I didn't expect it to be winning so much over there in the East. You know, I was like, bro, this leader ability is garbage. We're returning to Dawn to restand to Dawn. We're going super Dawn neg, and you know, it's just not worth it. But I've been seeing some gameplay. I've been seeing a lot of the wins it's been getting for on like the flagships and stuff like that. And regardless of the opinions you guys have about flagships and, you know, those smaller tournaments, the deck is getting wins against, you know, the mid-range meta decks right now. So I think this deck is like the mid-range killer or the aggro / mid-range deck to play. And I'm going to talk a little bit as to why. So for those who don't know, the leader ability says activate main once per turn, Dawn -2. If you have only Straw Hat crew type characters in play set up to 2 of your rested Dawn as active, then this leader gains plus 1000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you become a 6k leader. Like I was saying earlier, you return 2 Dawn and then you set 2 Dawn back as active. And that matters a lot because you have the key piece of the deck, the key powerhouse of the deck is this Sanji and Pudding. I've seen deck lists and I've sort of like copied them, and I took like what I think is to be the best way, in my opinion, to play this deck as of right now, which is just playing 12 searchers. So you're gonna play the Zoro, who searches top 5 for a purple Straw Hat. You're going to play this event that searches top 3 for a Straw Hat, Kid Pirates or Heart Pirates, which are only playing Straw Hats here. And then we get this new searcher, this Nami, that searches top 5 for a Straw Hat other than Nami. You know, so we have 12 of these searchers to look for all of our pieces, and every card in this deck is a Straw Hat, except this Electric Luna, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The newest cards from the set is also this Zoro. If your opponent has 2 or more characters on the field, this character can attack the turn it's played, so it has pseudo rush. And then on play, if your leader's a Straw Hat, you get to arrest one of your opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less. So this is really good for tapping blockers and cleaning up other bodies on the board that could be more annoying. In some of the games you'll see today, this card put in a decent amount of work, and I'm really impressed with how it performed. The other new card is, I didn't even read the Sanji and Pudding. So what makes the Sanji and Pudding so strong is the fact that it helps mitigate some of the Dawn that you're minusing to keep you on curve-ish, right? So it says your turn once per turn. When 2 or more of your Dawn is returned to your Dawn deck, set up to 1 of your Dawn is active. And then on play, if the number of Dawn cards are equal to or less than your opponent's, draw 1 card. So if you're behind in Dawn, this draws you a card, so it replaces yourself. And then it also facilitates your leader ability by giving you Dawn back. Really strong card. The way I'm choosing to play this deck is to try and stick 2 of these on board so that my leader ability doesn't go minus at all. And then I'm actually like having free turns where like I'm playing multiple cards for free, and that's what gives this deck so much tempo, so much aggression. Because for the longest time I couldn't figure out how to play this deck. I was trying some of the 3-cost Dawn rampers like Zoro and the new Frankie, and I just wasn't liking it because it felt too clunky. Like you had to fulfill specific conditions to get it down. The next new card is this secret rare Monkey D. Luffy. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn cards on the field, this character gains rush. When attacking, return 2 of your active Dawn to your Dawn deck. Set this character as active, then add the top card of your life to your hand. So it's a 6/7 with rush on like turn 3 is when you get the rush part, which is, you know, it comes online when it needs to. It's a 6 cost. And then the fact that it's able to restand itself is really strong. However, I personally don't like the conditions of having to return to active Dawn and then adding the top card of your life to hand, but that's how you balance it, because this card is just actually just bonkers. It's nutty. Even when you don't have you know, a play, you don't see your Sanji or whatever on that 5 Dawn turn, that 6 Dawn turn. Rather, this card's still just as strong as 6/7 with rush, and it presents the threat that it can attack with 7k again, as well as untapping itself. And I want you to also note that the only cost of activating this card's effect is returning the 2 active Dawn. So if you have no life, you can untap this character. So in situations when you're at 0 life, you can play him and get those swings for free. So you don't need the life to restand him. I will note that there is a bug on the sim right now in which you can just return any 2 Dawn, so attached, rested, or active. And I try to not abuse that. In one of the games today, I forgot, or I misclicked rather, and I returned 1 rested Dawn, but I returned like the other active Dawn. And then I would have treated that game like I would have returned both active Dawn and I wouldn't have used the other one. Anyway, the last new card, which I think is another key piece in the deck in your removal matchups, is this Going Merry. It says on play, if your leader has a Straw Hat crew, draw 1 card. I like Bandai doing this thing now where the stages are just drawing a card to replace themselves, because that feels really good. It just feels really bad to play a stage and then to go neg 1 in hand, and you only get the effects of the stage that are like super conditional. So I really just like it being able to replace itself. Anyway, the second effect is activate main, may rest the stage. If the number of Dawn cards on your field is less than or equal to the number of Dawn cards on your opponent's field, give it to one of your Straw Hat crew type characters plus 2 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this just gives plus 2 to any of your Straw Hat characters, making them more difficult to remove for cost-based removal decks like black and blue. Right, so this can turn your 5 cost Sanji into a 7 cost, your 6 cost Luffy into an 8, your 4 cost Zoro into a 6, and so on and so forth, making those cards very difficult to remove. Outside of the new stuff from EBO2, we have this Sanji 2K. He's a 2K, and in certain conditions, he can swing for really big numbers if you leave him on the board. So when you attach 1 Dawn to him on your turn, for every 3 rested Dawn, he gains plus 1k power. Right, this really synergizes with the leader effect, because you're going to be playing things to have rested Dawn. You're going to attach 1 to him, and then he will be swinging for large numbers. So I think that's a cool card. It's also a 2k, so you don't have to rely on it as a body. It has a lot of utility. I think it's a good card. We have this one of as the Nico Robin. This is from OP09. On play, if you have 2 more rested characters in play until the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your Straw Hat characters cannot be KO'd by effects. So this is a one of tech for the control matchups, the removal matchups. If you're able to stick a board, like have 2 of these units rested, so like you just attacked with your Sanji and Pudding, your Zoro, your Luffy, or what have you, you play this character and now your board is KO immune. And I think that's really strong. It really stuns the opponent out. Next card is this 6 cost Sanji blocker. It's like a staple in purple. It's a 2k, it's a blocker, and then if you have 2 or fewer more Dawn than your opponent, so if you have 2 or less Dawn than your opponent, he costs 3 less. So he costs 3 if you're behind 2 Dawn than your opponent. And then in this deck, you're not gonna be super far ahead of Dawn compared to your opponent. You're rarely going to be equal to them, only like the early turns, or if you have like multiple of these Sanji Puddings, you're going to be equal or ahead of your opponent in Dawn. So this comes up actually as a 3 cost blocker more often than not, and I like that synergy. Then we have 3 cost Usohachi, another purple staple. On play, if you have 8 or more Dawn, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So really strong. It taps a blocker, and then in combination with the next card we're going to be talking about, is super strong in my opinion, which is the Demonic Aura 9 Sword style Ashura Demon 9 Flash. I feel like a certain kind of individual named that, the person who was like Naruto running in middle school named that card. Anyway, the card is a 2 cost Supernova Straw Hat Crew card, meaning it's searchable. Activate main, one of your leader or character cards gain plus 3k power during this turn. Then you may rest one of your 3 cost or greater characters. If you did, rest up to one of your opponent's 5 cost or less characters. So the synergy here is on your 8 Dawn turn, let's say you have like double Sanji Pudding on board, and then maybe like one of these other units, or just double Sanji Pudding, right? You have 8 Dawn, you play the Usohachi, you rest their 5 cost or lower, you play the Demon 9 Flash sword event, rest the Usohachi, give something plus 3k power, rest another blocker. So you're resting 2 blockers, gaining plus 3k, and then your leader ability, you're going to return 2 Dawn, untap 2. The Sanji and Pudding, if you have 2 of them, give you 2 more Dawn, and you basically only spent 1 Dawn that turn. Insane. and you rested 2 blockers, and now you're able to go for lethal. And since you only spent 1 Dawn that turn, you probably have the Dawn to play this Luffy. You may not be able to get the restand on him, but you can play another character to help close out the game. Anyway, Electric Luna, next card. Activate main. All of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 7 or less do not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. This card is unsearchable. It's a one of, but this deck filters and cycles so much that eventually you'll just kind of see it. You know, you can even get to the point where like you're manipulating your deck with all the searching you're doing so that you can push it to the top after all your searches and find it. And this card just shuts out other mid-range matchups, because the way I like to play this deck is I don't really want to control the board unless it's like too egregious and I'm already a little bit behind, or I'll see myself getting behind. I really just want to hit you in the face and then have my stage and say, you can't remove my board, you got to swing into my board. You're not hitting my face, I'm a 6K leader, right? So if your opponent at any point rests their entire board and they're not playing super heavy top end, you play this Luna, you stun their turn, and then you untap that Dawn anyway with leader ability and Sanji and Pudding, and they just can't respond to your board for a turn, and it's really insane. Then next event, Gum Gum Jet Gatling. It is the 0 cost event that pitches a card from hand, and then you give plus 3k counter to one of your units or your leaders. We talked about the Searcher. Gum Gum Giants is the last card we're going to talk about. It is what I think the best card that we've got printed recently. Some can say it's the best card ever. What it does is it's a counter event. Dawn -2, you trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has a Straw Hat Crew type, give up to one of your leader characters plus 4k power for this battle, and then you draw 2 cards. So it filters your hand, it gives you counter. You know, it just does a lot for this deck and for purple Straw Hat leaders in general. But yeah, that's going to be it for the deck profile, guys. I think this deck is kind of nutty. It does lose to the control matchups like Shanks and Lucci, but those decks weren't really prevalent in the meta, or they aren't really prevalent right now in the East. We'll have to give this deck a few more times to see how the meta develops, to see if it really can hold its own. But right now it's a fun time. It's a fun deck to play on the sim and something cool to learn while you're like tired of like OP9 and OP10 and stuff like that. So go on the sim, have some fun, guys, and you know, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. All right, so the first game we got here is against an Enel. I think we're gonna choose to go second. I think we go first, take them away from their going first curve. Yeah, Enel going first curve is kind of nutty. They do, well, actually they just do nothing for 1 and 3, and then they play Gedatsu. But we have a pretty decent hand. We have a Searcher and Sanji Pudding. We're really just missing stage and then another Sanji Pudding at this point to really get our engine going, or our game plan going. Yeah, so these first turns, you don't see a Searcher, you don't see stage. Pass. Three Dawn. I like to play a Searcher, swing 7. Or play a Searcher, see what I get. If I get stage or another Searcher. I'm choosing between the 2 Searchers, but I already have a Zoro and I take one anyway. I think it might have been better to take the other Search event and then look for something else and then just swing 6, because they're going to take it anyway. To my opponent, Darishishis. They get a us, so I think it's another event, and the Rocket Luffy. So 5 Dawn, we're where we want to be. We want to play this Sanji Pudding. Return 2. Gain active Dawn, and we drew a stage. So because we have less Dawn than our opponent, we're going to play this stage. It draws us a card. Give the Sanji +2. Just in case they hit a Nami trigger out of life, and then just swing at them. So you see that they potentially triggered something because they're taking a while, and it was the 5 cost Luffy. But that only hits 4s, so it wouldn't have killed our Sanji Pudding anyway. But this also makes this Sanji Pudding hard to remove. They can't play Nami and kill it, so they opt to play the Nico Robin burn a life. And then because I'm a 6k, they can't swing at me. So this turn, Zoro, see what we can get. Another Sanji Pudding, because the way our leader ability works, we already have one on board. Like 2 Dawn, yep. Gain an active Dawn. Rest it. We should swing first before we develop it. And I see we don't play another Sanji Pudding. I guess because we can't really get the effect off. That's why. But you can make a case to play it now or play it later. I think it was probably best to play it now in hindsight, but I'm not sure. And then I don't swing with my Sanji Pudding because it gets no value. My opponent will just cycle their life here anyway. So I don't see any reason to swing with it now. Keeping it up makes it difficult for Enel to remove it. So then they use the event. It draws a Raigo and it whiffs on the other target. Then they swing 6. I like to take life as this leader. Like the first 2 life, I feel as if I'm safe to take just because of the insane amount of tempo. And then we get this Robin card. I'm excited because this Robin card will be super nutty in the following turn. But I probably should counter here because I also don't want to go down to 1. All right. So now we just want to, you know, drain this Enel's hand. I'm trying to see what he searched off of the event here. We don't play the Robin yet because we need rested characters. Make sure the Sanji can't die to a trigger. Swing 7, tax the Enel's hand a little bit. They have to counter this swing. Yep. Swing 7. One thing I don't like about this leader that Bandai has been doing recently with leaders is they make it so that you have to play units to really get the effect off. Not have to play units, but they make it so that you have to spend Dawn to like get a lot of value out your effects, which really sucks because you'll be playing into triggers because of how you have to do units. Also, please note that my opponent just triggered the 0 cost event. That'll be important for later. So my opponent triggered the 0 cost event here off of their last life and was able to heal 2 in conjunction with their leader ability. But we played a Sanji Pudding, we ramp, and then we played a Robin to protect my board from being KO'd. And then we swing another 7 to put them down to 1. They can't KO my board anyway. So that's why I felt free enough to just, you know, go wide and develop here. So my opponent's debating on countering this. I say they take here just because they get another card in hand, as well as they can potentially trigger into a body. And if they have 10 cost ace, it'll allow them to play 10 cost ace so that they can heal and then trade into my other unit. But it's also really hard for my opponent to trade into my board in general because all of my units are like 6 and 7s, right? And then their leaders are 5, so they can't play ace on their leader. They can't attach any Dawn. And then 9 cost Yamato doesn't clear a body here, just heals them. So they'll swing at me. I think I take here because I really just want to protect my board. Yep. I don't trigger it because I don't have a giant in hand to make use of it. And I'll probably just end up discarding it. So yeah, I discard a Luna because Luna doesn't really get much value. And then I probably give him the Sanji 2K. Yep. Because we want to protect our board so that we can go wide. So now we're kind of in our ideal state on this deck, right? Where we have double Sanji Pudding, we have 6 cost Luffy in hand, and we just have a lot of swings. We could put a lot of pressure on this guy. So I swing 7, my opponent hits the Onami trigger, or the Nami trigger, trashing Zoro. So they've hit 2 triggers, or 3 triggers rather. They hit Luffy, Nami, as well as 0 cost. So we attach 2, swing 7. I also buffed up the other Sanji Pudding so they don't die to the Nami trigger. So they use 0 cost. I'm counting Dawn for the rush Luffy that I want to play. So my opponent takes. Do they hit a trigger here? They hit a Luffy trigger, I think. Yeah, they hit another Luffy trigger, so that's 3 triggers they've hit this game. 4 triggers they've hit this game. 3 KO triggers, 1 healing trigger. And we're trying our best to play around these triggers. You know, we were able to get it around so that, you know, we could just swing as much as possible. And then let me pause. So remember what I was saying earlier about how like I have to play units to really get the most out of my leader ability. Ideally, into Enel, you would want to play your rush units after you would play your rush units after you swing with your leader, just in case they hit a beige trigger, so that you don't, you know, they can't beige whatever you have on board. But you know, the leader's designed as it's already a strong deck, so we just kind of go. We use leader ability, we get Sanji and Pudding, and now we have 5 Dawn to play with, plus my leader's a 6k. So I need to keep 2 Dawn active so that the Luffy can just untap. I'm going to a tap, go 9 at leader, return 2. So by accident, I return 1 rested and I return 1 active. I'm going to play as if I returned 2 active. So technically I only have 1 Dawn active right now. So we swing 9. And then they hit another 0 cost event. So that's 2 heal triggers, 3 KO triggers. And I'm like, we still have enough swings to get over, right? So we should just swing 7 because they don't have the counter for this. And then they hit a beige trigger, and then that is just GG. So unfortunately, I think we just really lost the triggers this game. Yeah, see, they didn't have any counter left. And we really just lost the triggers this game. Hit them with the GG, looked at their, you know, trigger stack, and they did what it did. It's an L at the end of the day. You can't be mad at it. I played yellow for about 2 sets to 1.5 sets, so I've benefited in 1 off of the beige last life, so I can't be too salty about it. Anyway, we're gonna load up into the next game. So now we're up against the black blue Usopp. They are like one of the projected better decks of OP10. I think it's landed on like tier 1.5 / tier 2-ish for a lot of people. Anyway, we take first from them. We're gonna play stage, or yeah, we're gonna play Nami take stage. The hand is pretty good with Pudding, stage, Sanji. So we're gonna stage here, draw a card. My opponent sees stages as well. Play the Nami. I think I just take Sanji and Pudding because I'm going to 6 next turn. I don't really need to search for anything else. And then we're going to swing 6 at them. I just like rearranging the bricks in my hand so that I don't have to like click all around my hand for counter. My opponent swings 7. I was always going to take this life anyway. I was always going to take this life anyway. Yep. And then we got our Demon Flash event. They play EBO. Because I'm on 5 Dawn, I think I just get 3 here. So do I do 5, 6? Yeah. I do 5, 6 here, get some value out of this Nami. Get a card out of his hand. You can actually argue this is low-key a misplay here, because I just attached all the Dawn to my leader. My opponent had 6 cards in hand. I could have made them take another life or give me the blocker, and then they would not have been able to cycle another card in hand. So this was a slight misplay. Just remember, like, to count your Usopp opponent's hand to make sure that they can't get value off their leader ability. And anyway, I used stage on Sanji before swinging just to play into any triggers. And then another punish for swinging that Nami is that they get to play Cavendish, and then Create a Coliseum gives the Cavendish rush so that they're able to filter their hand. But my Sanji and Pudding stuck. I'm taking another hit. We hit that trigger off a life. Get the search at 2k. All right, 6 Dawn. We got a second Sanji Pudding. We just rip it. Yep. And then I'll have like 5 Dawn to play with. meaning we can play, where is he? Yep. So my opponent has 2 or more characters, play the Zoro, we tap their EDO. They have 5 cards in hand, so we can't really avoid them making use of leader ability. Yeah, so we tapped his blocker, we're gonna swing 7. We wanna hit him in the face. Now would be a good time to trade into his blocker because he won't get a value from leader ability. But we kind of forget that. Anyway, he takes anyway. And then also we low-key should have traded with our Nami blocker. Or not our Nami, we should trade with our Nami into the EDO instead of the Zoro because now he has an easy swing. We're gonna protect it anyway because we need our board. Usopp is another leader that likes to use his Dawn, so if he does any removal here, he won't be able to swing into my leader or really threaten my board. So once again, like the power of just having multiple highly statted units is really strong against other mid-range decks. Opponent played Leo. They're searching. They drew Frankie Cavendish. I think they have 7. So we're gonna swing 6. They only have 6 Dawn left. We just give them a 2K. And they just scoop. So yeah, they scooped. I don't think they had the Rebecca in hand. Yeah, and then plus they also committed the Dawn and then forgot to, you know, they forgot that they needed 7 Dawn to play Kyros to return to Sanji. So they just scoop, but we're gonna run some more games against this opponent because they did rematch. And then I'll see you in the next game. This hand is not optimal. We're missing like Stage, Sanji. So we kind of want to see something else. All right, so we have 2 searchers in the Sanji. We went second. I do believe this deck wants to go first just because establishing that Sanji pudding is really important. Yep, so we played a Nami, take Sanji pudding. We usually take the first life. Okay. I'm not usually scared of putting either just because this deck is scary consistent. I don't know if that's like sim magic or if it's actually the deck, but the deck is scary consistent. Swing 5, give him the leader ability value. Zoro. We don't have 6 cost Luffy, so we probably take him or the 2K. I think we take him. Yeah, it's a hard choice, but it's nice to have him in hand just so we don't have to see him later because 2Ks are everywhere, but that Luffy is only a 4 of. All we're missing right now is Stage, so hopefully we see it. Another reason why I like to take life, you know, so we can see Stage. So yeah, we decided to trigger it, the Stage, just because we want more Dawn to play with for our Sanji and pudding turn. So here we're gonna have 5 Dawn to play with, meaning we can play this Zoro and tapping this EDO. Problem is they don't have 2 characters, so the Zoro won't gain rush, but we're gonna swing into them first. All right, attach 1 to leader, swing 7, and then we'll clean up the EDO with this Nami, give him leader ability, but they won't have a blocker for next turn. And then here I think we're gonna see like the perfect Rebecca. So me not having Stage here really hurts me a lot. They were able to remove 2 units from my board, and for them having Coliseum, they're also able to rush into my unit, so I have to like maintain my board presence as much as possible. But not seeing Stage really sucks. Anyway, it is what it is. We play Sanji. Feel me? Get some Dawn back. We can even play the second one. I think we do play the second one. Yep. We have 1 Dawn, but no giant either. I don't like swinging into board. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments if I should swing into board here, but I just want to hit him in the face and really just start racing him. Yeah. And then they hit a Graph Blade trigger. It's just unfortunate with the triggers today, man. But ball up top, man. We keep going. A ball up top, bro. Check up. Anyway, they play Leo. They rest stage, grab double EDO. They pitch Red Rock, play Cavendish, able to draw more, filter more. And I'm slowly just like losing my advantage. I don't think I should have countered for this. If we're being honest, I think I should just let that Zoro die. Because my opponent still has 3 swings. Yeah, I should not be countering for this. Don't be like me, guys. If your opponent has multiple swings up, just kind of let the body die, right? And then they play double blocker, swing 9 at it anyway. Or they play 1 blocker, swing 6 at it. I give them another card and they swing 10 at it and it dies anyway. So all I did right there was just save my life, like 1 life, but it's not looking pretty, man. Play Sanji Pudding, play the event. I don't know what I'm looking for here. I feel as if I should take the second Luffy just because I need to develop a body here. Or I take the Sanji. Like, I can either take the Sanji, the 6-house Sanji blocker, or the Luffy, just so that I have, you know, something to play here. And I'm going to play the Luffy. I also don't think I should be swinging my board here, but I don't have stage to protect against another Kyros. I'm gonna swing 6 at them. They give me a 2K. 7 at them. They block, draw a card. I think I'll swing another 7. Leave up 1 for Giant. And pass. Now that I know that I rushed with this, yeah, they gravity bladed 2 of them. That's why I feel like I should have taken the second one. Yeah, so they gravity blade. Once again, not having stage sucks. Their Cavendish draws them more cards. I'm praying, wishing I had the second Luffy, because I was going to take a hit to life here anyway. You know? So yeah, if we had that second Luffy, we're just gonna discard either whatever we took off a life or Giant, because we have this Zoro to like rest our EDO, and then we even have like double rest with this, but we low-key don't need it. And then we take for another Giant, right? So how do we have like 6-cost Luffy here? We just tap that blocker, play the Luffy, and then we have like 4 swings. So this game was actually winnable. I also have to read this card here because it gives me, it's like Hound Blaze, right? Where like the sequence of things is very tricky and it's hard to remember. So like you have to target your unit that you want to buff first, then you have to target which one of your units you have to rest, and then you rest your opponent's unit. But the reason why I'm doing this here is just to give the extra 1k power boost to the Sanji Pudding. And then we have really nothing to rest, so we just choose our enemies. We're just doing it for the power boost, as well as more Dawn to rest so that we get more Dawn active for our leader ability. But here I'm regretting not having the Luffy. I'm really regretting not having that Luffy, man. I'm planning my attacks. I only have 2 swings. They have 5, potentially 6 cards in hand. So we swing 11. Yeah, we're going for 11, 12. Praying that they brick, but they've been filtering their hand like crazy with the Cavendish. Yeah, and then searching with EDOs. So yeah, they just had the counter. We played a Nami here anyway. We see another Luffy. If we had the extra Dawn, instead of, you know, maybe attaching it, then we have like an extra swing. Yeah, actually, if we had the extra Dawn, we had an extra swing with the Luffy. But I don't think that mattered just because they had the cards in hand. No, it does matter. If we search with that Nami first and then play the Luffy. No, we don't. No, because we don't swing the 11. They still have like a 2k in hand. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Final game, I get first this time. I see stage. I see Zoro, Sanji Pudding, we're being chilling. Let's go. Yeah, we take giant. It's always nice to have one giant in hand. They play EDO. Play stage. And I think we pass here just because we don't want to give him value off a leader ability. Or we play another searcher. Yep. Probably take the event because that's a 2 of. And then we already have 2 Sanji Pudding and we have stage. So I'm not really scared about one of them getting removed. Yeah, we take this life. Doesn't matter. We don't swing also to protect against leader ability. And then they play this guy. So instead of... So here's like one of these turns where Purple Luffy has taught me, like Mono Purple Luffy has taught me that like you can play your quote unquote optimal turn and play like your key unit and, you know, try and get advantage from there, but they're setting up to remove my unit, right? So this is the equivalent of like my opponent playing a Kuzan, you know, and I have 7-drop Sanji or I have Luffy Taro combo in hand. So I have to choose, you know, do I just try and advance my board state and pray they don't have removal? Or do I go into their, you know, setup into the removal? So I choose what I think is the better play is to like not just play into their removal. So I'm choosing to respect my opponent here. So I'm going to play this Zoro. They have a lot of units on board, but very few cards in hand, right? I'm going to play the Zoro, rest that, swing 2 into it, require either 2 cards or a blocker. Sure, they draw, swing 5 into it. And then they can either give me a blocker or 3 cards and they give it to me, right? So now they've already used leader ability. I'm counting my Dawn here. I have 5 Dawn. I can return 2. I'll be at 3 and I'll be at 5 again next turn to play the Sanji Pudding. So I think we should use leader ability here. Yeah. We should play a searcher here. Yeah, we're gonna swing 8. Get the block, play a searcher. What do we take? Probably a 2K because our hand has no counter. We want to protect the Zoro. Yep. We also misplayed a little bit. We should have used the stage on the Zoro so he doesn't die to 4-cost Zoro. But also my opponent doesn't have stage either. Another thing is too is that a lot of these decks are like becoming reliant on stage, or that's always been a thing where like stage decks are, you know, stage decks like 7 like Kaido, Black Purple King, this deck. Yeah, so huge misplay by not remembering to use stage effect on my Zoro. Anyway, we got Sanji Pudding, we got our win condition. Game 1 active done. I'm thinking what to do 5-6 here. I'll probably just play another searcher and swing 8. We take another, yeah, we take another 6-drop. I regretted not having them last game, so now we got them. Swing 8, force them to take. And notice my opponent has been put in very difficult situations. Like the reason why I'm able to just like take life early is because I'm a 6K leader and then they aren't able to really swing into me. I know he had to rest his leader with Zoro and he couldn't attack into my life, but it's always difficult to do your plays and swing into a 6-cost leader. Anyway, they do Frankie Leo here, resting their leader again because they don't have stage. They're desperately digging for their stage. They trash a Cavendish, play Zoro, swing 7. I'm going to take this anyway because they don't have Dawn up for Pudding. I'm also not usually scared of Pudding in this deck either. So now we play second Sanji Pudding. And then this turn we're going to play with 5 more Dawn. So untap. I'm wishing I had another one of those Zoros, but I'll just play my searcher. Another thing too. Oh, hit my mic. Sorry guys. We're gonna grab probably a 2K. Oh, actually, we grab another stage here to play around Grav Blade. Yeah, we're goated. So we grab another stage, swing 6, put my stage on. They give me a 2K, play stage, buff that one. So now we're playing around Grav Blade like crazy. We're playing around their 7-cost Kyros. And our hand is so big because every card in our deck replaces itself. They use Frankie to play the Toy Soldier. We remove it. I guess they kind of got stunned. They were like, oh wait, I forgot he had things to swing with. Yep. Then we pass. Yeah, almost every card in this deck replaces itself. We have 12 searchers. My opponent finally sees their stage. But even if the Rebecca Kyros comes down, they can't remove, you know, the Sanji Pudding. So they're just going to do Rebecca Frankie. And then if you noticed, we kind of have something in our hand to deal with these 2 blockers. They're going to swing 6 into me. I don't like going to 1 here. We give them 1K. Ideally, we should have given them the Robin because Robin only protects against KO. Instead of giving them the Searcher. They're going to swing 7 to me. We give them a 2K. Oh, we take this. Okay. Well, it's because they don't have any pressure on board. Yeah. Uso Hachi, tap the Frankie. Rest event, tap the Uso Hachi. I'm sorry, buff our unit, tap the Uso Hachi. Tap their blocker. Leader ability. Yep. Gain active. So much Dawn. Swing 7 at them. And now we're just like free to just swing at them. Unfortunately, we don't have enough Dawn to do it. Swing 7. Yeah. And then we buffed the Zoro to play around Grav Blade trigger. So now I'm counting Dawn. I don't have enough for to restand the Luffy, but I think still just developing him here is good enough. And we're checking the hand for counter too. So we should swing 6 first. Or we're just gonna play him? Yeah. We swing 6 first. He has the counter, so now we're gonna swing the Luffy. Or play the Luffy. Pivot into... Yeah, no, we hit him in the face again here. We don't have the Dawn to do it. We're not gonna cheat again and use rested Dawn. So I'm thinking to go face here, but I'm like, we can't kill him, so we may as well just hit into his board so that we don't die on the crackback. So yeah, we swing into the Zoro. Sure, he draws a card. We swing into this EDO blocker. Clean that up so he doesn't have 2 blockers. Okay, he gave me a 2K for it. Sure. Leave 1 up for Giant and then, you know, see how the rest of this game goes. Okay, he Kyros'd me. Swing into that. We can just Giant. Okay, we gave him 2K, 1K. Yeah, no real need to Giant there. Sure, you can take that. And then we have, yeah, we have the Zoro to tap their blocker. They're going to swing into me. I'm going to take anyway. There's no reason not to. Swing 6, counter. Yeah, because that's their last swing. So I'm just going to pitch the Sanji and Pudding, get it, draw 2 cards. And then we have this Luffy still, so he can just like swing for big numbers. So play this Zoro. Tap their Frankie. Oh no, I'm sorry. Frankie's a 5 cost because of Usopp leader ability. So we just tap the EDO. We use leader ability. Untap, gain an active. So much Dawn to play with. And then we can just like swing 7s to check his hand. So they block. Draw a card. Play Toy Soldier because they don't have a Leo in the trash. Swing another 7, check his hand. Give me 2K, 1K. Yeah, I'm mathing because we need 2 Dawn up for that Luffy, but we can just do 11-11. If anything, we should do 6 into 11-11 just to like really like do it, but it's fine. So 11, tap this, give it power, another 11. And if they give me, yeah, they don't have enough counter. GG. Yeah, guys, and that's going to be it for today's gameplay. I'm liking this deck more than I thought I did. I really like decks with simple game plans and simple win conditions that you can execute at a base level so that you can just play the game at another level. Because when you don't have to focus about high level decision making in your own game plan, you can focus on high level decision making against your opponent, and you know what optimal plays you can make against your opponent as to, you know, I don't know how to describe it. It's a deck with a simple game plan to execute so that you can focus more on how to make your opponent's plays so uncomfortable for them, you know? Yeah. That's gonna be it for me. Make sure you guys let me know what you guys think about the deck. If you have any changes to the deck list you would make, any plays that you think I made during the video that would be bad that you think I could have done better. And yeah, I think I'm saying this for the third time, but that's gonna be it for me, guys. Take care.